Hello everyone, this is Daniel with Peace and Plenty Homestead out here in the strawberry patch. So this evening I thought I would do a complete, comprehensive, as much as I can get into one video, all I know about strawberries. Let's turn the camera around and get started. You're definitely going to notice all these small pots I have wrapped up in shrink wrap in the video. These are small pots that I use to transplant the runners, the small strawberry plants that the June-bearing strawberry plant puts out. And I wrapped them up in this shrink wrap because we had the chickens in here and I didn't want them knocking it over and digging through it. It just would have been a huge mess if I had let them have at it. This black paper that we have on the ground right here is driveway plastic. It's 12'6" wide, and I had to put a whole nother layer down this year because I used some Tyvek brand plastic before and it didn't hold up. It actually let weeds and grass grow underneath of it. So I was pulling weeds. This is the first week of July, and I was pulling weeds, and there were a lot of weeds that grow up underneath right around the edge of the pot right here. And you can lift the pot up this time of year because it's not bearing any strawberries, and pull the weeds out from underneath and do a sweep around. You know, I like to have a little bit of space in between each one. Not only can I sweep around each pot, but I can walk down it like an aisle way with my feet, one on either side of the pots here, and just bend over and pick the strawberries. It's not as far to have to bend over. So that has worked out really well. And the mildew. Now this row here, I've got them too tight. Sometime this winter, I plan to spread those apart so that I'll have more room to sweep and clean up between them if there's a pile of leaves or a raccoon gets into it. A raccoon did get into this area and dig out a few of them, but I just swept it up. And the handles on these pots are really nice for just pulling them out of the way, pulling up the weeds underneath, and sweeping around the leaves and the dirt. If you keep the leaves and the dirt out, the weeds won't have a chance to grow right there. But you don't want to lift the pots during May and June when the plant is bearing its fruit during that time. I found that it's best to pull the weeds right after it stops raining or after you've watered, because the weeds just pull up out of the ground a whole lot easier. You also want to pull the weeds before they go to seed. Don't let the weeds go to seed, because then you're fighting the battle a whole lot harder. Straw, rye straw, I found that works really good on the strawberries plants. That's why they call it strawberries, because if you'll cover it with straw January and February, it will really enhance the flavor of the strawberries when you pick them. Makes them a lot sweeter. So I use a rye straw thrash. Be sure and get the thrashed rye straw, because the seeds will get into the pots and you'll have a real mess. Ask me how I know. We are in zone 7B, so our first frost is somewhere in December, but we don't cover with straw until just before Christmas, and we take the straw off just after February, giving us 30 days in the spring and 30 days in the fall where they get just a touch of frost. On the watering in July and August, I only water just when the main plant in the center there needs water. I'll let the outside edge right here wilt and die away. I don't want the plant to get runners and offshoots and get too big for the pot. And I limit its size by the watering. Now, when I do pick the runners and the offshoots and everything, I can get 5 to 6 5-gallon buckets full of little seedlings. And like I said, we put them in these little tiny pots here, these 1-gallon pots, and I can sell those, give them away, whatever. This is an expensive way to do it with these types of pots, but I started real small just a few pots, and it expanded it slowly each year. Eventually led to the fencing. Eventually I got it painted. It is electric. It does have an electric wire on the outside of it, and we do use a motion detector during the fruit-bearing months. So if there's a predator in here, it'll set off the motion detector and I can come out here and rectify the situation. So it's definitely, I've got them right here beside the house because they're high maintenance. You know, you've got to keep an eye out for the June bugs. You've got to be able to take care of raccoons and possums and all of that, and the wilting and the watering. So I have to really keep an eye on these. It's not something you just check on once a year to see if there's fruit. You have to pull the weeds on a regular basis, check for June bugs on a regular basis. And we do this all natural. I'm going to add in some video of the praying mantis. The thing about the praying mantis is I ordered those online, you know, probably 7 or 8 little praying mantis nests all at one time, and put them out here. And it was really hard to get them to acclimate to this area. You can order 7 or 8 in a group of nests and put them out to hatch, and very few of them will survive. So it's taken a few years to get the praying mantis going, but we've got them going in this area. So I don't really use any 7 dust or anything like that. I use diatomaceous earth, all natural diatomaceous earth. And the trick is to constantly be checking on the plant to see if you've got the June bugs. And I've got a little plastic toy gun that shoots salt. So if you can't, sometimes trying to sneak up on the Japanese beetles, they will fly away. But with that salt firing gun, that little toy salt firing gun, I can get them with that, and I don't have to worry about putting down 7 dust which would kill the praying mantis. So we do all natural here. And speaking of the all natural, one of the things that's happened this year, and it's been a big topic on YouTube, my neighbors, my friends, we've had a nationwide compost problem. It's actually been contaminated. So we're going to have to start doing our compost just like the chickens. We talked earlier about going with American breast because of the bird flu. That'll be our meat bird for next year, because you just can't bring anything onto the farm. Well, now the compost is contaminated. So we did some raised beds. We can see we've got the tomatoes and the squash. This is all the good compost here. But off to my left, we've got compost that was contaminated. So that's been a real problem for this area. The praying mantis, I'm going to try to put some video in, and I hope you all enjoy that. Thanks for watching.